I'd like to call the August Policy and Academics Committee meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Ms. Bourgeois?
Here.
Dr. Guillot? Here. Ms. Wells?
Here. Item 2, policy and procedure, policy revisions. A, consider approving revisions to policy JBD, student absences and excuses. Mr. Cook.
In March 2024, Bulletin 741 changing the definition for absences. Policy JBD, absences and excuses, reflect the revisions made by Betsy. The new language in Section 105 of Bulletin 741 divides absences into 3 categories: excused, unexcused, suspension, and expulsion. It also specifies that a student who is absent, including a suspended student, shall be allowed to submit assignments and tests eligible to receive the same academic credit and grades originally available when the work was completed satisfactorily in a timely manner. Policy JCD has been revised by Fort Consulting. It has been reviewed by our board attorney and CWA department and found to be in order.
Thank you, Mr. Cook. I need a motion by Ms. Wells, seconded by Dr. Guillot. Is there any public comment? Any board comment? Hearing none, we can vote. The motion does carry. Item B, excuse me. Consider approving revisions to policy JCDAF, bullying and hazing. Mr. Cook.
Act 686 of the 2024 Louisiana Legislature revised numerous statutes to remove language addressing instruction to students and training for teachers. The act also authorized the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education to promulgate rules for instruction and training requirements. The act repealed Louisiana Revised Statute 17280, which addressed student training for internet and cell phone use. It also removed teacher training on bullying and hazing from 17/4/16/14.
Thank you. Motion by Dr. Guillot, second by Ms. Wells. Any public comment? Any board comment? Hearing none, we can vote. And motion does carry. Item C, to consider approving revisions to policy JDE, expulsion. Mr. Cook.
Act 497, effective August 1st, 2025, revised Louisiana Revised Statute 17/4/16 regarding the punishment for firearms, knives, and drugs, as reflected in JDE expulsion. It reduces the mandatory time of expulsion from 4 semesters to 2 semesters for students in grades 6 through 12. There is an exception for possession of marijuana, tetrahydrocannabinol, and any chemical derivative thereof, and that the expulsion is not required unless it is the second or subsequent occurrence. However, included under additional reasons for expulsion, added statutory language states that any student in grades 6 through 12 found guilty on the first occurrence being in possession of marijuana, tetrahydrocannabinol, any chemical derivative thereof may be recommended for expulsion.
Motion by Dr. Guillot, second by Ms. Wells. Any public comment? Any board comment? Hearing none, we can vote. And motion does carry. Item D, to consider approving revisions to policy JGCE, child abuse. Ms. Delco.
Act 195, effective August 1st, 2025, revised the Children's Code Articles of 603 and 610, changing the language addressing school resource officers and their reporting procedures. The new language provides that any school resource officer that suspects child abuse or neglect, or a mandatory reporter of child abuse should report suspected child abuse to a school resource officer. The school resource officer shall immediately notify the officer's employing law enforcement agency or the Department of Children and Family Services. The officer's employee shall assign the investigation of the matter to the most appropriate law enforcement officer, who may be the school resource officer. Revisions have been reviewed and approved by the board attorney, and we're asking for their approval to accept these changes.
Motion by Ms. Wells, second by Dr. Dion. Any public comment? Any board comment? Hearing none, we can vote. And motion does carry. Item E, to consider approving revisions to policy JGCF, behavioral health support for students. Ms. Delco.
Act 504, effective August 1st, 2025, enacted, requires that each public school make available to each student in grades 3 through 12 a mental health assessment by a licensed behavioral health provider, so long as it's annually authorized by his or her parent or legal guardian. The Act defines licensed behavioral health provider and where a list of providers may be located. The assessments shall be provided to the appropriate students at no cost to the school board. The revisions have been reviewed and approved by the board attorney, and we are asking for approval to accept these changes.
Thank you. Motion by Dr. Dion, second by Ms. Wells. Is there any public comment? Yes, ma'am. Please step to the front with your name and address.
Good evening, everybody. I just want to point out
Excuse me.
that,
You need to
oh,
give
I'm
your
sorry,
name and address.
Debbie Melvin, 322 Cedar Tree Drive in Thibodaux. It's like, I've been up here so many times.
It's just for the
There were actually 2 laws that were passed regarding mental health screenings in schools, and the policy that is being written only reflects Act number 504. It does not reflect some provisions that are in Act 469. So I'm going to give you both copies of this, but I just want to point out some differences and maybe suggest that y'all look again at how the proposed policy is written. One is that, and mental health was a big deal this year at the legislature, and rightly so. But I see this, and as I watched some of the committee hearings, I saw it as more of a service to the parents. And this law, which originated in the Senate instead of the House, says that screenings are offered, which your policy would say, to the parent or guardian with the option to consent in writing to the screening. So it's not like it's an opt-in, it's not an opt-out. So it's not like a note would go home to the parents that would get lost in the child's school bag and, oh, well, this parent didn't return it, so we're just going to do the screenings. It's not like that. It's an opt-in. And you do make the point that the health screening has to be done with the consent of the parents. Regarding the school's responsibility, though, it says that the school will identify the screening tool being used and include this information on the parental consent form with information on how to access the tool on the school or the district's website. So the parents would actually be able to see what that tool is that they would be using with their children or their child. If the results indicate a potential mental health condition, the school notifies the parent and provides them a list of resources, and they're done. It's just, like I said, it's more like a service to the parents. A heads up, that here are the resources, you're the parent, you go take care of this. The results of the screening that the school comes up with shall be confidential and shall not be subject to disclosure except to the student's parent. Within 30 days following the notification of the parent, the mental health screening data collected by a school shall be destroyed. So it's not like it's going to follow the child or be in the child's records. And no school or vendor shall collect metadata. So in other words, they can't hold on to that information about that child. So I just wanted to make that clear. And any decision that is made relating to student with, let me say that. The public school board shall use the results of, let me start over. No city, parish, or other local public school board shall use the results of any mental health screening to make any decision relating to student instruction, academic opportunities, or discipline. So I don't know if y'all want to, point some of that out in the policy or not, but I thought those points needed to be made. Okay, thank you. And can I get this to you? That's it, thank you.
Thank you, Ron Southgate, 110 Bourgeois Street, Grayson, Louisiana. Having worked in the legislature, I think maybe what would happen is maybe Mr. Amadi found out about one bill, didn't necessarily find out about the other bill. And as I'm sure Mr. LaFaunie's an attorney, he'll tell you the Louisiana Law Institute has the ability to change certain things in one statute and in another when bills conflict. Especially when bills conflict, they do that and put it in a specific spot. So I would probably recommend y'all deferring this and let Mr. Amadi take a look at both bills. Thank you.
Well, what I'll tell you is that Mr. Amity did craft this, and he approved this after the board crafted this policy. And I will tell you that the language of the bill referenced relative to how and what we do with this material would likely not be part of this policy and could actually just be part of the practice we put in place when we draft the actual letter that's going to go home. We haven't adopted yet even the screening. So I think that this policy is separate and apart from some of the concerns relative to what happens with the information and the data. It may not even be part of this. Again, Forethought drafted this policy based on the legislation. I think that this language is in keeping with the concerns that were brought, as it speaks to we do have to annually, it states so long as it is annually authorized by his or her parent or legal guardian. But again, this is not a policy that's present. So if you'd like board counsel to review it, it's not an issue at all. So right now you have a motion to adopt and a second.
That's all. Yeah, any other public comment? Board comment.
I know that when something is made into state law, it is redundant and not necessary. Am I correct to have it in a policy? Because it is law, therefore we abide by law. But I do understand the concern for having some mention at some point in the process to the handling of information, specifically the privacy and, how the information will be used or will not be used. I think that's important for our parents to know and understand. So I definitely see the value in that, in adding the information that was in Act 469 and not in 504.
I agree with Mr. Martin that I think the policy is probably good as it is, but I don't think there's any harm in taking just another look at it before you actually vote. That's you guys' decision.
Any other comments?
So, I'm curious, where do we stand with the present policy in place, also meeting the new state law, right? Obviously, August 1st is a state law.
Right.
So, and Buffy, is correct, and it's a state law. We practice according to the state law, even though our policy may not have been revised to that point.
Right, you're obligated, to your point, Dr. Dion, right now to follow the law as written. You could not have this policy. It could not exist in your policy manual. We're still obligated to follow that law to the letter.
So I'll move that we table this motion until I'll, potentially, and I'll just say this, potentially to our full board meeting or to our next committee meeting. What would be the pleasure of?
That's fine with me, even though I do think the policy is okay as it is, because the procedure that's gonna follow with Act 469 is going to be different, not different, but it's gonna coincide with the policy, where the policy is fine, the procedures we're gonna invoke because of the policy is where this is gonna come in. But I'm fine with deferring, it's fine with me.
So I move that we table this motion until, we get a second look at it compared to the additional law and the information brought up today.
Madam Chair, just to understand the will of the board, so if this passes, would the potential to bring it back to the full board for approval as new business? Or is that to not delay the passage of it?
Yeah, and now I guess that's kind of part of my motion to kind of also poll the group to see what's our pleasure, not to delay it any longer than we need to, but, we have a 2-week gap between. So I have no problem, tabling it and having it brought up at the next earliest meeting, the full board. So I'll move to that.
A second. Any public comment? Just for clarification, we had a motion on the floor. Do you have to vote on that motion first or vote on as amended?
As amended, I think it's.
Yeah,
Okay.
so a motion to table is an immediate motion. It gets addressed first, and then it addresses what happens with the original motion.
Thank you for that clarification.
Sure. Why hang on?
That's why we have you. So any public comment on the amended motion? Any board comment? Hearing none, we can vote.
The revision, right? To table, motion to table.
Motion to table. They quick back there, yes. Our first meeting is on top of it. And it does pass, so we will table the motion until opportunity for the next meeting. Item F is to approve revisions to policy IFA, instructional materials. Mr. Dell.
Okay, policy IFA that's already in place provides for the parent of a student access to instructional materials. This Act 103 of 2025, adds online access. Now that most of our, or many of our instructional materials are found online. So this new law and the change to policy adds access to online review of materials. And it also speaks to a process of paper access upon parental request and includes the option of basic or customary fees in the event that copies have to be made in that case. So this has been reviewed, and we recommend its passage.
Motion by Ms. Wells, seconded by Dr. Dion. Any public comment? Any board comment? Hearing none, we can vote. And the motion does carry. Item G, to consider approving revisions to policy IFBGA, acceptable use for computers, internet, and electronic mail for computers. Ms. McKinney.
The Louisiana Revised Statute 17280 mandated internet and cell phone safety education in schools. Act 686 of the 2024 Louisiana Legislature repealed this statute. The education previously required under this statute will now be incorporated into Louisiana K-12 computer science standards, which cover internet safety, digital citizenship, and cybersecurity. Therefore, we request approval to remove this Band-Aid as indicated from policy IFBGA, acceptable use of computers, internet, and electronic mail.
Motion by Dr. Dion, second by Ms. Wells. Is there any public comment? Any board comment? Hearing none, we can vote. And the motion does carry. Item 3, academics. Supervisory staff updates. A, special education, Ms. Delphine.
So I just kind of wanted to update everybody on where we're at with our reorganization from when we started with Leapfrog. It's been a long few months, a lot of interviews and moving forward, but we're settling in. So where we kind of ended up with, we have 3 managers. We had 1 manager before. So we broke into having an instructional manager. We have a compliance manager, and then we have that student assessment and behavior health manager. And so the instructional manager is Elise Callahan. She was previously the principal at Sixth Ward, and she's going to be overseeing everything that is the meat and potatoes of the IEP. So she's going to be working with teachers and principals on actually implementing everything in that IEP and assisting with those teachers in bringing that IEP to life, I guess is how you would say it. And she also, under her umbrella, is going to have early childhood and child search. So that's going to be everything before you enter into school, and then working with your 4 and 5-year-olds as well. And that coordinator there is going to be Sissy Bodian. And then you also have, under that umbrella is going to be Rachel Vizier working in a facilitator's role. She has many hats to wear, but one piece is she's going to be facilitating with our charter. With Val and BCA is going to be one. And so we're going to be working on bringing them into our meetings and because they fit with us. And so anytime there'd be a compliance piece, they would be under us. So if they got audited, it would go under us. So that would be something that we're going to be working with as well. And then we used to have the roles of facilitators, and that has changed to the name of coaches. And so they're going to be building the capacities of our teachers as just as you heard instructional coaches with Mr. Delcom and Ms. Ann Hodson. That's what these coaches are going to be doing with our special ed teachers to help bring their capacity up to go right straight into building with those students. The next one we have is that compliance and program manager, and that's Lainey Kirk. She was with us Previously, she was a speech therapist and also worked with our related services. And she kind of keeps us above the law, keeps us all good and compliant with everything. And she has a ton of people underneath her umbrella working with the related services. And when you hear related services, that's going to be your OTs, PTs, speech therapists, APE teachers, vision, hearing, audiologists, all of that. Working also with her is going to be Jackie Lee Redd, who is a speech therapist, who's going to be moving up into that role and helping us there. And then we have an intervention and programs coordinator, which is a very new role and a very much needed role, which is going to be kind of like meshing in between the intervention piece in all the schools, bringing in that piece, and then looking at all of our programs that I come to you and ask for my budget, that I talk to you about, that early intervening. She's going to oversee a lot of that, and that's going to be Amanda Robertson, which was previously her role was an ed diagnostician. So she's going to bring that expertise in there. 504 coordinator is Tammy Guidry. She's been with us for a while. And the compliance coaches are also were previously our liaisons. And we had two before. One has moved over into that position. And also facilitating, we have Ashley Thibodeau. Jim Shorter previously was known as the pupil appraisal facilitator, but his role is still going to be looking over at all of our assessment components and our behavior health manager underneath. What we have here is that all of our pupil appraisal has broken into two areas. We're going to have our assessment teams and our support teams. So before that they were all doing all the jobs, now they're going to be able to concentrate into the one area, providing and coming in to providing support into schools and build the capacity of our teachers and our administrators. And then the other part, working on the assessments, testing our students, seeing if they qualify, doing reevaluations there. We have 3 student support service employees, and this year they're going to be supporting one at Civil Elementary, one at WSL, and one at CM Washington. And then we have our therapeutic intervention program. That is also kind of being modified this year. It was previously behind Central Lafourche. This year it's going to be broken into 2 sites as soon as we can have it up and running. And right now the only one we have up and running is at the north site at CM Washington. So the goal and what we've been talking about through this whole reorganization is that there's a book out there and it's called Good to Great, and that's where we're at. We're going from good to great with everything. Change is difficult. It's not fun, but it's necessary when you're going from good to great, and so it's going to take some mind shifts. And we're going to go there. And so in good to great, it says that first you need to get everybody on the bus. You need to get the right people on the bus, and that's where we're at. And now you need to get everybody in the right seats, and that's our next piece. And so we're going to start moving and getting everybody to help build capacity within our schools, because we're in addition to the supports. So we're going to help build those administrators in becoming the best that they can be to support all students with special needs, and then the teachers as well. And that's what we're there for. We're the addition to supporting everybody within. So look for us to continue to grow and be awesome and go from good to great.
There's also another book that's called Who Moved My Cheese? They
Well,
may need to read that.
yeah, we're doing that. But it's going to be from good to great.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Item B, technology. Ms. McKay.
Okay, so 3 updates I wanted to give you guys. First on OnCourse. This year, starting the year with OnCourse with 1 year experience, it went a lot smoother. We did have a slight snag. Google changed some kind of extension type thing, which affected our assessment platform. But Ms. McCarthy responded to it very quickly and resolved it, and we had some positive outcomes, including no more testing tickets with the teachers. Teachers didn't really care for, because there was a lot of paper testing tickets for each test, that kind of thing, having to come up with a procedure for that. So they're not going to miss that. And it also enhanced the security of our test administration. So sometimes things happen and good things come out of it. Esports, the middle schools have been forming their teams, and they plan to hold their first meetings in September, and then both middle and high school will participate in competitions for the fall and spring seasons. And we're gonna have a new district website. Our current license, subscription, whatever that you wanna call it, with Power School ends on, bless you, August 29th. So we had gotten approval through the RFP to go with Apogee. So they're gonna be ready to roll it out live by next Friday. We're really excited about it because one of our main focuses was it being user-friendly. And working with it, Ms. Bolton can attest to how much easier it is to use, especially since she's been kind of working with it. We've sent out who's going to be users at each school to manage their website. So we've been meeting with Apogee weekly. When I say we, I mean me, Ms. Bolton, Ms. Caroline Lagarde, who's in the IT department with us, and Ms. Katie McCracken. We've been meeting weekly, slowly building the pieces, learning it ourselves, and then once we go live, we're going to set up some trainings for the schools to get trained on how to use it and update their school websites. If you can scroll down, this is just a preview of what it's going to look like. The gallery at the top will slide like a slideshow, so that's just one of the pictures that we move to show different pictures.
That guy.
I don't know.
Who's that young guy?
Ms. Bolton is also working on making the school sites consistent as far as having a principal message with the principal picture. So she's collecting that right now and trying to work on getting it so it's consistent throughout the district. We also have a live feed, which when Ms. Bolton posts here, it will automatically shoot to the Facebook. And she has plans to do Instagram and all that good stuff coming forward, but you'll only have to update it here, and then the program automatically pushes it out to the other platforms. The news is more for like articles. So far she's put in the handbook and her current newsletter. So this is the beginnings. This is not, this is still in draft mode because we're still kind of building it out. Ms. Katie has also worked on redesigning the logos for each school so that they are consistent. They're all going to be in a circle. It's like she's a, you call those people that design?
Graphic designers.
I mean, it's amazing what she can do because I can't. So anyway, if you have any questions, this is just a preview of it.
So with OnCourse, has there been any update this year about kids being able to see their actual test after it's been graded? So haven't
That
gotten.
is still a challenge. That's a constant source of pain for me, and I look back at the Delphins, we talked about that. So because it's done online, the test security is an issue because it's the same third grade math test given in Golden Meadows, given in Timberlake and sixth grade. So all of these tests have to remain secure. So we have to develop a way, committed to figuring out a way to at least give exemplars. You missed problems that look like this. There's something that we can put in the hands of parents to see, because that's a gap right now.
And not even so much as the older kids' parents, but the kids themselves.
1,000.
I mean, at
Now,
least if they can.
the kids are seeing them as a teacher practice. The teacher can go and show the kids their test.
So they have to
but then they have to
individually
turn
open it.
And they have to
for
turn it
kids.
back off after.
Yeah. They don't have time.
Or I know of teachers who will review like high missed items in the class after the class.
Yeah. It's a byproduct of both online testing platform and the test security. But I'm working on it.
I appreciate the drive towards uniformity for our school websites, not just logos, just content. Because I know sometimes you go and they're just not as current. And with that, I had in sort of some notes of just not critical things to talk about, but with the merger of Golden Meadow Lower Elementary and Golden Meadow Upper Elementary, I'm assuming that this is really good timing for that and that the school will have one web address. Just because I subscribe on Facebook to most of our schools, I think I have every one of our schools in that district at this point, and I like to see those on my news feed. I noticed that like the lower still, that's still the name, and I guess that's probably something that we need to work with that specific school. I'm not sure who manages the Facebook page, but it gets in unity there.
We definitely need to talk to
Sure.
Kelly about the
Yeah.
Facebook thing. Yeah, and I think a lot of the website is outdated because it was so not user-friendly that people just gave up.
It was
It's not worth their
difficult to
time.
manage, yeah.
I know I spent 20 minutes trying to get a picture to look like I wanted it to look, finally gave up and gave it to Caroline because I wasn't doing it anymore.
And I'm
This is
assuming
a lot easier.
too that it'll be more user-friendly among different platforms. So for example, if you pull up human resources, I'm going to use that as an example, on your phone, Robbie Lee's picture looks like, it's really like distorted and stretched out. And I'm using that as an example because I've gone to that page and I've seen it, and it might happen on other pages. So hopefully this new,
Even better, it comes with an app.
because a lot of people are on the go, like you're waiting in a waiting room, and so you're, let me check this, and
Most people access the internet.
on their phones, yeah, on the go. So that's good. I
This
appreciate that.
platform comes with an app as part of the pricing, so, got a developer's account. And we set that up, and so you'll have an app to go with it. You'll have an app for everything.
Very good. Thank you.
There being no further business before our committee, this meeting is adjourned.